Yo, what up? Welcome to Mo Boxing No Problem. I am Jose Ramirez Jr. and I'm joined by my co-host Zeke. And we also got some special guests. We got other boxing content creators here joining us to talk about Spence Crawford. But before we get into it, I'll go around the panel so you guys can introduce yourself. Let's start with you, your boxing fix.
What's going on, everybody? Good to be here, man. Your boxing fix based out of Virginia. Been doing this for about 5 years now, man. I've been watching boxing ever since I was 4 years old with my dad. So you're not going to run into very many people that love the sport like I do. So it's cool to be up here with y'all. Excited to talk about the big fight, man. So let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, Keem, you go next.
Man, since you were 4, geez, man, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
Man, Akeem Haynes on YouTube. It's the breakdown with Akeem Haynes. I come from athletic background, man, professional sports. I used to run professional track and field, so I've been to a couple of Olympics. I was actually at the same one Robesi was in 2016. So the way I approach boxing, I've been watching it since I came to Canada. So I was like 8 years old. But the way I approach it, man, boxing and track and field from a singular isolation standpoint have a lot of similarities. So I kind of look at it away from it, not just inside the ring from my perspective, man. So yeah, man, that's me.
All right, Axel.
What up? It's a pleasure to be back on this channel as always. I mean, I do predictions for my own channel, of course, Axel 72, but these ones, they always give me this little bit of extra hype. I always love doing them. That's why I always try come back, try help set up in any way that I can. And it's always a pleasure to be on the channel, Jose. And of course, it's a pleasure to be with you guys as well. Keem, I watch loads of your videos, mate. It's like, and of course, you've been on my channel and I love your content and your boxing fix. New to you, mate, but I'm sure I'll be checking out all your stuff right after this as well. And like I said, always a pleasure to be on it.
Thank you so much. And everybody, make sure you check them out. Great content, and appreciate you guys for making the time. And, you know, we're here to discuss basically a historic fight that's happening this Saturday. Like I mentioned, Spence Crawford. It's the first time in the 4-belt era that we're going to get a truly undisputed champion at the 147-pound division, which, you know, has been kind of the boxing, money-making division for a minute. You know, how excited are you guys for this matchup? Do you feel like kind of the buzz for this fight where you are? Well, sorry, you actually, because I'm super curious. You know, you're in the UK, so how's the fight energy in the UK for Spence Crawford?
I think for like myself, it's huge. I think for the whole of the UK, possibly not loads. I think it definitely could be more. I think, to be completely honest, the Garcia versus Davis fight probably had more hype in the UK. Just because of, I suppose, the kind of more social media aspect of Garcia and stuff like that. But I think also it's quite difficult to, I suppose, watch over in the UK. I know it's on pay-per-view for something, but I don't even know how to get it in the UK. But like compared that to Garcia and Davis, which was DAZN free to view, so made it a lot easier for me. But either way, I'm very excited to watch this, and I know that it's very big over in America, and I've been trying to keep up with everything, all the little comment sections and everything like that. And so, yeah, for myself, I'm very excited.
So we got a few comments here. We got Julio Abalas saying Errol Spence, let's make a bet. And if anybody wants to bet for Crawford, hit up Julio Abalas. Yeah, he's ready. And then Joseph Boxton, salute brothers. Hopefully I'll join you guys for the next one.
Much love.
Absolutely. Much love. Salute. So what about you, your boxing fix? How's the kind of the buzz for this fight where you are, and how excited are you for it?
I love it, man. I love it. It's go time. We've been waiting on this fight for years now, and we have two fighters that you can make an argument that are top 5 pound for pound in any weight class. So to be able to have these guys in their prime, and you're doing it for undisputed, you're doing it for all the belts. So it doesn't get much better than this, man. I'm excited. I know y'all are excited. The whole boxing world, this whole year actually, man, has been amazing. So to be able to add this fight onto an already amazing year, man, I'm excited. I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Doza Boxing says TNT pay-per-view overseas now. So check that out, Axel.
TNT. That's probably is. I just don't have TNT, so that's me missing out. Then I'm trying to sort out a way to get that.
All right, then Keem, what are your thoughts on the fight? The buzz and your excitement level for it.
Yeah, man. I mean, to put it this way, bro, like my wife doesn't watch boxing. She don't like people getting hit. She don't like the sweet side, none of that. And she's excited for this fight. She just saw the all access. You know what I'm saying? So for me, man, people always talk about boxing is dead, is this and that. It's like, no, it's not. When you get the fights that you want to see, it's alive. right? And I think this is definitely one of those fights that has the potential to be the fight. I mean, dare I say, fight of the century? It has that type of potential to be if it lives up to the hype. But there's also a question that I'll ask you guys a little bit later. But yeah, man, I'm excited for it. I'm hoping it is what we think it's going to be.
Absolutely. What about you, Seek?
Just like Akeem said, just like my wife too. She's not a much of a boxing fan, but she's getting into it. Like like Jose, my partner, knows she's off at 8, so I rushed to our house, literally 5 minutes away, and we kind of get in bed. I just don't want to say it, but but to get to the point, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I think it's making hype, yeah, just like Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. We expected a lot of hype, and it is what it was, But for this Spence Crawford, hey, it's the fight of man, we've been wishing it for many more years, and yet again, this is one of the biggest fights this year, and I hope this fight encourages other promoters and other boxers to step up their game towards other promoters. I know everyone has their own opinion. Some people don't want to fight this and that, but this is my only thought, my only statement I want to put out there. I hope this fight encourages other fighters to step up their belts or no belts, and give the fans what they want to see, what they want to listen. This is what we want for them not to hold back on it. Of course, I know money gets in the way too, but the money is right. But at the end of the day, some fights say, if the money, if the belts, let's do it for the fans. They want war. We have to show the boxing industry, and that's what helps us out, all the boxing industry to come up. But my thoughts is, I just hope it gets from here and on. I hope we get I'm not gonna say better matches because it's a brilliant match, but I just hope it builds up from here. We build up to more intensive matches.
Yeah. 100%. I'm super excited for it. It's been, I believe, 5 years in the making, Spence Crawford. And I'm going to keep it honest with you guys. I had given up hope that this fight was going to happen this year.
Yeah.
Especially once there was that linkage between Thurman and Spence fighting at 154 pounds. I was like, all right, Spence is done with the 147-pound division. Like, he's not waiting on Crawford. But he did wait to get the deal done with Crawford. Much respect that both sides kind of didn't let the little things between the contract get in the way. Like, we heard about the coin flip to decide who's going to, walk last. Sticking point. I'm glad that didn't stop this mega fight from happening, because it's what we want to see. We want to see the best fight in the best. And this year has been, such a great year for boxing. And, with that, I do want to kind of lead into the next section. This past Tuesday morning, we saw, here in the States, we saw a brilliant fight between Naoya Inoue and Stephen Fulton. Inoue put on a masterclass performance and dominated Stephen Fulton in a way that many were not expecting. And he is now, kind of cemented his status as the number 1 pound for pound fighter. Do you now view the Spence Crawford matchup as the fight for number 2 pound for pound, or do you think there's still a chance that this winner can be the number 1 pound for pound fighter? We'll start with you, Axel.
Well, not to kind of blow my own trumpet too much, my prediction, I got it bang on. Inoue Fulton got it bang on. Was very happy with that. I thought I'm such a big Inoue fan. I think I've been a fan for him since he started like the kind of world title run. I know he's had 20 now, and it's been so crazy what he's been doing. And I think only just recently he's realistically been getting the credit he deserves. And I'm so happy he won this fight as comfortably as he did, because this was him on the big stage, and this was him really needing to make a statement. And now everybody's putting him in, from what I've seen, everybody's realistically been putting him pound for pound number 1. I think that's completely fair. I agree. I think this fight, pound for pound number 2, possibly number 3, depending, in my opinion, where you put Usyk. But either way, I think when you look at this fight, because of how close it is, it can make it difficult for it to be a pound for pound number 1 when you just seen Inoue, because of how good Inoue just looked in that fight. I don't think either of these two fighters have the ability to shut out the other one as much as the other. I think that's what makes it such a good fight, but it means that I don't think either of them can realistically make a huge claim for pound unless one of them, by some miraculous kind of being ends up going and putting on an amazing display and stopping him, I don't think that either of them can realistically be pound for pound number one after this fight, even though it is such a good fight. That's what makes it such a good fight.
Absolutely. And Doza Boxing says, personally, Usyk / winner Spence and Crawford is tough to decide number two. Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. What are your thoughts, Akeem, on Spence Crawford? And are they fighting for number one pound for pound or number 2 pound for pound or somewhere in between?
Man, I think this fight this weekend has a lot of things behind it, man. Obviously, 147 never had an undisputed champ before. We're gonna get one this weekend, so you got to put that when you're thinking about it as well, too. You're thinking about how big this fight can be. Anytime Inoue fights is gonna be a big fight, right? But that's over there. Over here, it's a different story. I think this is a fight that could sell out wherever it went. Maybe not Japan because they don't, it's a little different over there, but mostly international. The only way I see this, if this fight happens and it's exciting from the jump, talking about like these guys are going swinging heavy, 4th round, Spence get dropped, 5th round, Crawford gets dropped, both men get up, and it's one of those back and forth type of fights. If it's an exciting fight, like we're hoping that it is, you can say that, yeah, Spence number one, Crawford number one. They have the resume to back it up as well too with all of it. But I also think it's so selective when you think about pound for pound, because in a way it makes a great case because he's moved up from so many other divisions all the way up as well too. So it's tough not to say that he doesn't belong at number one. And then he moved up another division and beat one of the top dogs who has 2 belts. Yeah, that's a great case. It's another great case. After this, he's going to fight Tapless and probably going to beat him. Obviously, we got to see what happens, but that's another division that you can say that he's conquered. So whoever wins this one, man, it's either going to be 1 or 2, depending on how the fight goes. And I think how you win is going to solidify who is get that top spot, in my opinion.
That's good. What are your thoughts there, your boxing fix?
I think the number 1 spot, it would be tough to win on Saturday, considering what Inoue just did to the caliber fighter that he did it to. Now, if Spence or Crawford goes in and completely dominates, the opponent, then you can make a case. But it's tough, man. Inoue, like he was saying, man, this is 4th weight class, so he's jumped up multiple weight classes. And when he jumped up to 122, he said, give me the top guy there and beat him. It made it look easy. So we'll see about Saturday. We'll see how things go. We'll see how the fight plays out. But it's going to be tough to unseat what Inoue did on a Tuesday morning.
What about you, Zeke?
Honestly, I think, to be honest, and there's a lot of fighters to keep up with, but anyway, I've watched highlights here and there. And literally 2 nights ago was my first match seeing him fight. But I could honestly say, in my point of view, my perspective, he looks like a pretty comfortable, solid fighter in there. He doesn't come. Of course, there's nerves in there, but to me, it's like this guy. He goes for like they call him the monster. He goes for what he wants, and he's not afraid, and he's comfortable cutting the ring, and it's like he knows his knowledge. His ring IQ that night was very like shit. Like, damn, this guy, he looks so comfortable. He's gonna take it, man. And I see Fulton as like, oh, you know what, like kind of, let me keep my he tested him, but then he's seen Inoue go like, oh my god, like, let me just come. But I think after like a couple rounds, Fulton kind of held back, kind of backed out, because then I see Inoue like he's pressuring and he's just persistent, and overall I seen him too comfortable. Like that's really good to hear. What's up, Sports and Sons?
What up?
Man.
What's up,
Yeah,
man?
but back to the pound for pound. In my opinion, for now, I could say Inoue, but just like I give my point of view on this is, in every event and every sport, as in every match, there's this is a pound for pound, and then for Saturday there could be a new pound for pound. It always changes. That's my opinion. You can have one fighter just decide on the whole division. Oh, he's one pound for pound. It always changes. That's my point of view. It's just always, for now, I'll go with it. It could change on Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, those are my thoughts on that. It just changes every time.
Yeah, and I agree with all the comments you guys have mentioned, and Keem, I want to highlight yours comment made specifically on pound for pound list being subjective, because it is a matter of opinion, like how you build your pound for pound list. I know some people that omit heavyweights that have just fought a heavyweight because they don't really move, weight divisions, and I have people that if you've lost, you're no longer on the pound for pound list. You got to have a perfect record, and I think what may hold back Spence is that he's only fought at welterweight. That's been his career, defining weight. So even if he beats the guy that many already have as the number one pound for pound fighter today in Crawford, it may not be enough to elevate him to be number one. I think Crawford, if he wins in one-sided fashion, he will still be the kind of that number one pound for pound fighter in competition with Inoue. But for Spence, kind of how we saw when Bivol beat Canelo, it didn't automatically jump him up to be the number one pound for pound fighter today. We may have that effect with Spence if he wins. But Sports and Tunes, welcome to the panel.
How's it going, fellas? You guys
good.
Ready for this exciting start of the fight week? We already got the good one with Fulton Inoue.
Yeah, exactly.
We
and
got
Dose of Boxing here saying same way with Bivol being Canelo. Yeah, same thing. He didn't get the.
Hey, we're also forgetting about Usyk.
Usyk, yeah. I mean, I think if Usyk beats Fury,
he's
gonna be up there as well, number one. Another fight I want to kind of make a parallel to Spence Crawford. It's the fight that a lot of people have making the connection with, and that's Mayweather Pacquiao, because that was the last big welterweight fight that people were clamoring for. Do you think that Spence Crawford can beat Mayweather Pacquiao on pay-per-view sales, and if not pay-per-view sales, can at least beat it in entertainment value? Because we know Mayweather Pacquiao wasn't the most entertaining fight when we saw it, but can it beat either in pay-per-view sales or entertainment factor? And we'll start with you, Sports and Tunes. What do you think about Spence Crawford compared to Mayweather Pacquiao?
Yeah, I was gonna go towards that. Thank you. So I think it would.
I think we're having technical difficulties with David.
To be honest, both entertaining and boxing wise, because this is. No, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a slight lag.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. It's just a lag.
Can you guys?
Yep.
Can you guys hear me though?
Yeah, we can.
You're breaking up a bit.
Breaking up though.
Oh shit! I think it might be the area where I'm at. Can you guys hear me though?
Oh yeah, you good now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I think both. It boxes in the boxing sense and in the entertainment sense, because there was excuses when it came to Pacquiao Mayweather. They kept getting pushed off, and they kept saying that you needed to do all the blood testing and all that stuff. And these guys, there's no excuses. They're both in their prime. Yeah, you can say that, right? They're both in their prime. They're both fighting normally, and there's not going to be no excuses like I'm injured or nothing. So we're going to get it, we're going to get it 100%. There's going to be no excuses, win or lose, for either guy.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Your boxing picks?
The question, as far as you said, sales, right? Would it be able to? That's tough.
And values when it comes to fight.
It's tough because even though a lot of people believe that Mayweather Pacquiao happened a little too late, it still made a lot of money. That's the reality of it. I know we wish it happened, sooner, but it still generated a lot of money. It sold, a lot of tickets. The actual fight, that's a different conversation. To compare it with that fight from a ticket sales standpoint and from a revenue standpoint, it's tough because we're also talking about Floyd Money Mayweather. So he kind of set the tone for everyone as far as the business side and making your money. So it's going to be hard. It's going to do a lot of money. It's going to do a lot of sales. I would probably say it would surpass Davis Garcia, but maybe a little less than Mayweather Pacquiao, just because those two, they were still two big megastars, even when they fought, even though it was a little too late, I believe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hakeem, want to add anything?
Yeah, man. I think it'll get close, but I don't think it will from a revenue standpoint, because I don't know off the head how many people are in the Philippines, but whenever Manny Pacquiao is fighting, everybody is watching that. Literally, everybody is watching that fight. Like Filipino people get behind their boxers, man. And so just for that, right? And I think like Spencer Crawford is massive fight in America, but I don't know if Filipinos know both of them like that. I don't know if Italians know both of them like that. The UK, maybe not so much. Axel was talking about that as well too. It's a big fight over here, but not so much. People love Manny Pacquiao wherever he goes, right? They're gonna pay to see his fight. Entertainment value, absolutely. Manny and Floyd at the time, it wasn't very exciting, very one-sided. But I think this can surpass that. But as far as like a international revenue standpoint, man, and sales, I don't know, man. It's tough because again, you have millions and millions of Filipinos who are going to pay that money to support their guy. And I'm not sure everybody is going to pay legally to see this one anyway.
Yeah, illegal streaming is much more prevalent than Mayweather Pacquiao days for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, anything you want to add on kind of the comparisons between Spence Crawford and Mayweather Pacquiao?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if I'm thinking about it, like Mayweather Pacquiao was a little bit before my time. But I know the legacy it had. I know the legacy it was around it at the time, and I've looked into it as much as I realistically can. And I think like Hakeem was saying, there isn't, in my opinion, bar outside of America, that cult following of one of these two fighters. And I mean, realistically, if you look at it from a UK standpoint, all of these fighters, Mayweather, Pacquiao, Spence, Crawford, they've always beat the UK guys. So realistically, I shouldn't like any of them. But I don't know if that plays in any more of a factor or not. But either way, I don't think it will. I think it's a huge fight for the moment. I definitely think there's capabilities of it selling the most out of kind of anywhere this this year. But I don't know if it would sell as much as Mayweather Pacquiao. But I'll let you answer this comment and everything. But I do have a question that I'd like to ask everybody afterwards.
Absolutely. So yeah, shout out to Boxing Maniac for the comment. I said Spence versus Crawford won't even come close to Pac versus Floyd financially. As far as entertainment, Spence versus Crawford will be way more entertaining. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think when we got Mayweather or Pacquiao, I think was it Pacquiao was 38 and Mayweather's 38 and Pacquiao was 36. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then here we got Crawford 35, Spence 33. Neither fighter has shown signs of decline. Neither fighter has a loss, so neither knows how to lose. They're going to be bringing it. So I think it's going to be a really entertaining fight. Boxing fans are in for a treat. And Axel, I'll open it up to you. Ask your question.
Okay, so I've seen this kind of going around on Twitter at the moment, and I think from this year, and definitely, of course, like I always say, coming from a UK standpoint, I kind of want to know your thoughts on who's had the better year in just overall. So PBC or Matchroom, I kind of want to know, because Matchroom's had the more activity and maybe not as big fights, but the more activity. But PBC's had to be fair, they've been very active as well, but PBC have had these bigger fights. And so I was just interested to know your thoughts on, because people always say who's the biggest promoter, and majority of the time people say Eddie Hearn, but there was also PBC doing so well at the moment. I'm interested in just what your lots of thoughts on who's doing better at the moment.
From a big fight perspective, I think hands down PBC. They give us Gervonta Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia. They're giving us Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford, and they're going to give us Canelo, Jermell Charlo. Two undisputed champions. So I think as far as big fights, PBC, but Matchroom's been consistent. I think they see them like putting it on the show every month, but I got to go with PBC as far as the better year. What have you, Akeem?
I agree, man. I think from if you're thinking of it from a consistency and a grinding standpoint, Matchroom for sure. But when we're talking about the big marquee fights that's going to sell a lot of pay-per-views, it's hard not to think that PBC doesn't have that edge. But it depends what you're looking for, right? And what the main target is. But if I had to say right now, man, getting Spence Crawford, I got Garcia and Davis already. Plus I'm getting Canelo. Canelo's always a big draw, right? So hard PBC for me, man.
I agree with the fellas. PBC too, and we also got Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez earlier on in the year to add on to that. So if you look at the big fights, man, PBC, they've been doing their thing. Matchroom, like Akeem said, they've been grinding, they've been putting on card after card, and I respect it. But if we're gonna look at the mega fights, the fights that fans really want to see, that you're gonna pay your hard-earned money for, PBC is doing their thing right now.
Yep.
Agree.
Perfect example of quality over quantity, right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
That's the right statement.
They got a comment here from Those of Boxing. Says, as much as I feel it's definitely going to be more entertaining than Mayweather, Pac-Man, and Tank Ryan, I feel from a financial standpoint, even Tank Ryan probably will have brought in more. He says revenue sold out quicker, and their social media presence is huge. Solid points.
Yeah, that's a very good point, man. Yeah, that's
Yep.
good.
Did you guys cover the whole card though? It looks like it's gonna be pretty entertaining. We have Pitbull Cruz making a comeback too, right? He hasn't fought in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's up for the rematch with Tank Davis, depending on how he looks on there. And then we got, Nonito.
Nonito Donaire, yeah.
Ryan Santiago as well.
Yeah.
So maybe the undercard helps the overall event at the end, because Nonito wasn't added to this card until like last 2 weeks ago. So hopefully that helps things. Next thing I want to kind of ask you guys, and please don't tell me who you think is going to win, but a lot has been made about kind of Spence being just a bigger natural fighter because he's been at welterweight his whole career, whereas Crawford started 135 and now he's at 147. Yet Crawford has KO'd all of his welterweight opponents, all 7 of them, so he has 100% KO ratio. So my question is, does this fight end in a knockout? And don't tell me who would get the knockout, but just say yes or no. Is this fight going to end in a knockout? And we'll start with you, Akeem.
No.
Going decision. All right, your boxing fix?
No, sir. No, sir.
David, you see knockout or decision?
I think he's gonna catch the eye. TKO later rounds.
Spoiler. All right, and then Axel, is this gonna be a knockout? No, going decision. Going decision. All right. Well, before
I got $50 right here. TKO later rounds.
All right. Well, depending on who you say, you may want to go with Julio Avalos because he was looking for a betting partner.
I got Spence, man.
There you go.
There you go. All right, and then Those of Boxing's Super Bad Friday too. Yeah.
Hey, don't forget Super Bad.
Super Bad Friday in Vegas. Another big fight is getting attention for sure. Akeem, before I ask for predictions, I know you had a question you want to ask us, so I'll open the floor to you.
Man, we saw Fulton Inoue. All right, I remember doing a prediction for that fight, and I'm like, yo, it's going to be a close fight. What if this fight isn't close? What if either man dog walks the other person? It's a possibility. Unlikely, yeah, but is it though?
I would be shocked, brother. But I mean, anything can happen. That's the beauty part about the sport, right, fellas? You never know what's gonna happen. We can do our predictions. We can say why we think a certain individual may win, or why someone may lose. But the beauty part is we won't know until the bell rings. And like you said, brother, it could turn out to be a complete dog walking on either side. But I think just each guy is just so exceptionally talented, man. It would be hard for me to see that. I would be surprised if it happens, but each guy, man, they're so exceptionally talented that I see it being a chess match. Crawford, he's going to make his adjustments like he normally does, and then Spence is going to have to maybe make some adjustments. So I think it's going to be more of a chess match, but I would be surprised if it was a dog walking.
Yeah.
What do you, Axel?
I was on a live stream similar to this with like UK boxing creators earlier today, and we were just kind of talking about boxing, and one of the topics was kind of the Fury versus Ngannou. It's a little bit out of the way from this, but I was like thinking in my head, if Ngannou just goes and absolutely demolishes Fury, what happens then? And of course there's a rematch clause for Fury, but if he's been absolutely demolished by one of the huge shots, then that's on the internet forever. And I think, how does that affect legacy? And how does that affect rankings? And how does that affect everything? And I think public persona is always something you're never going to please everybody. And I think if one of them did get absolutely slept or whatever, anything like that, then I think it's on the internet forever. I don't think it's ever going, and it's then something that then takes real heart and real kind of desire to then come back from something like that. And there's not many fighters that can do it. And I think like even though there probably is, even if one of them absolutely dog walks the other one, there probably will end up being a rematch. But if that one can then come back, if they get absolutely battered, then come back, then that's more impressive than dog walking them in the first place, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, David?
Yeah, I think the same, man. I just feel like if they don't try to go for a rematch, the fans are probably going to ask for a rematch, and then we'll get it that way.
Yeah, I'm with your boxing fix. I would be extremely shocked if it's a one-sided fight. You know, all the fighters that we've interviewed, when we asked them, Errol Spence, if they do choose to answer, they kind of say, I'm leaning this way, but most of them say it's 50-50, you know, and it's just because of their resume, right? And I know there's been more critique on Crawford's resume. You know, they mentioned he hasn't really fought anyone when he became undisputed at 140, like he didn't fight a really talented 140-pound division at that time. And, you know, Sean Porter was that test for him at welterweight. And he, you know, was down before he ended up turning the switch on and knocking out Sean Porter. But he did do something with Sean Porter that Errol Spence didn't do with the knockout. You know, Sean Porter and Errol Spence went to a decision. So it's going to be some good parallels. I've been seeing also online, you know, they're comparing resumes, you know, Danny Garcia versus Jose Benavidez Jr., you know, kind of that parallel, saying how Danny Garcia being quote unquote Errol Spence leftovers and Jose Benavidez Jr. being quote unquote Crawford's leftovers. How Errol Spence leftovers beat Terence Crawford's leftovers. That's kind of the narrative that I've seen.
That's deep. Like that's a lot.
It's a stretch because we all know, you know, styles make fights, and you know you
that's
can't.
A lot, man.
That's doing too much, man. That's doing way too much. Styles make fights. That was the perfect terminology right there, brother. You know, just because somebody, you know, performed a certain way against a certain fighter, that doesn't necessarily mean that this fight is going to go a certain way based on that. And if you need a better example, you can look at Shane Mosley, Ricardo Mayorga, and Vernon Forrest. Vernon Forrest beat Shane Mosley twice.
Mm-hmm.
Shane Mosley beat Ricardo Mayorga twice, but Ricardo Mayorga beat Vernon Forrest twice. So it's like styles make fights, man. You never know how things are going to go until those guys get in the ring.
100%. All right, got a comment here from Boxing Maniac. Said, guys, who Pitbull fights next if he wins Saturday? It's like Frank Martin wants that smoke, and I feel Spencer Crawford goes to distance. All right, so yeah, if Pitbull Cruz beats Giovanni Rivera, who does he fight next, or who would you want to see him fight next?
Man, Pitbull Cruz always wants Tank. Man, everybody wants Tank. Everybody wants the payday, but that Frank Martin fight's a good fight, man. That's a great fight. I wouldn't mind seeing that, you know, especially like if Frank would have looked amazing in his last fight. He did look pretty good, but he had a bit of a test. But if he looked amazing, I think Pitbull Cruz would have said, you know what, somebody else, I'm going to wait out. But now that he saw a little vulnerability in Frank Martin, it makes it a little bit more compelling to say, you know what, if I beat this guy this day, I can get in the ring with you. Let's do this. The winner of this gets the next fight. So, and, you know, Haney's probably going to relieve those belts anyway. So a lot of things are going to be up for grabs. But yeah, man, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight.
What do you, Exo?
I think Martin's a great option for a fight. I think if you're looking at it, I think there's options in the way of possibly Lomachenko. There's options in the way of possibly Kambosos Jr. Because I mean, Stevenson, of course, went in the ring with Kambosos Jr., but then he said on Twitter that he's not even going to entertain the fight. So there's possibilities of that there. William Zepeda is another possible option. I'd like to see him actually get somewhat of a more difficult test. I think that Pitbull deserves a title shot. If he gets one, that's a different question. I think there's too many good fighters around that kind of weight at the moment. So I think I don't hate the Frank Martin fight. Like Akeem said, he wasn't at his best performance in his last fight, but I feel like coming off the fight he had before, I forgot who he fought. I know it was a good fight, and it was against a tough opponent. And I think that maybe it's just one of them things that you see quite often, that you just have to, coming off a really big fight to then go on to one which is maybe a little bit of a less fight. It's not got the motivation. It's not got him up for a fight as much, and maybe it's just not where we saw his best because he, like I said, didn't get up for as much. And maybe Pitbull Cruz probably would. So it would be definitely a good fight.
All right, your boxing fix. Who should Pitbull Cruz fight next if he wins Saturday?
You know what? Y'all said Frank Martin, and it got me thinking that actually that is a pretty good fight. Now, I am from Virginia. I do want to say Keyshawn Davis, but he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. He's on his way. He's doing his thing. Super proud of him. But that Frank Martin fight, it does match up well because I think if Cruz wins, he's got to fight up, and he's got a pretty high ranking in all the sanctioning bodies, if I'm not mistaken. So the people that's available to fight him is a short list, you know, because he doesn't want to fight any of those dangerous, because that whole talent, that whole division is stacked with prospects, contenders, you know. So I can see someone like Frank Martin or maybe even Lomachenko. You know, we'll see what happens with the belts once Haney moves up to 140, because Lomachenko might end up fighting Shakur Stevenson. So we'll see. But I do like that Frank Martin fight, though.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great fight. I'm gonna throw one more name into the mix for Pitbull Cruz next, and that's Edwin De Los Santos, La Granada. I think he's had back-to-back good performances. So De Los Santos and Pitbull Cruz would be all action.
That'd be a banger.
Dose of Boxing, another comment here. Says, I feel the upper hand Ngannou has over Fury's other opponents is that Fury leaning on him won't have the same effect on his stamina coming from MMA and having dealt with wrestling heavyweights.
Yep.
Another good comparison. All right, guys. Well, it's a moment of truth. It's prediction time. Errol Spence, Terence Crawford. Who wins? Can't say 50-50. You're going to have to say you're leaning somebody. So unfortunately, I mean, you can say 50-50, but at least say if you're leaning a certain fighter or not. So we'll start with you, Seek, on the hot seat. Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, who wins?
All right. My honest opinion on this, my heart's telling me Crawford, but my head is telling me Spence. They're both monsters in the ring. They're both hungry. They both want them belts. But to make the long story short, I gotta go with Crawford.
Going by Crawford.
That's just my guy. Everyone's favorite. Everyone's on the Spence side. I respect him. You know, I really do. He's a tough fighter. He's a strong fighter. Got a comment here.
Yes. So we got someone also on Team Crawford. Boxing Maniac says Crawford by split decision.
Sir.
Respect.
It would be more intense if it's a knockout, you know. I would expect it from either fighter. May the best man win, but my side is a Crawford side. That's my opinion.
All right, Akeem, who wins?
Man, I think when you're coming into the fight, you got to come at it from an unbiased perspective, right? Because, people will say, pick a side instead. I'm like, dog, you lucky we get in this fight. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the fact that we're getting this fight, we're the winners. Yeah, somebody's going to win in the ring, absolutely. But, we get to see another great fight, and we're going to be talking about it for years to come. Man, for me, you can make an argument for either way. Like, Crawford, you can argue Crawford was coming in, and he's a lot fresher than Spence. Spence has had all these injuries. He's been in a lot more wars inside the ring. You could go that way. For me, man, and I kind of go back to, way that I used to train, man. Training in that Phoenix sun, like 115 weather. It used to be hot, and you used to be like, yo, coach, I ain't got no more reps in me. He's like, no, you got 2 more, but you got to dig. And so for me, I'm leaning towards who's had to dig more consistently in those pressure situations time after time. And Crawford has done it, but I think Spence has done it just a little bit more. So for me, man, I lean Spence, and it's like 51-49. So for me, I'm leaning Spence. You might ask me tomorrow, I might lean Crawford. But since we're on this today, my lean right now is Spence by some type of mix or split decision. I would be surprised, unless it's a knockout, to see a unanimous decision. It could happen, but I think it's some type of split or mixed decision for me. And right now, I'm leaning Spence, man. 51%. 51%.
There you go. Axel, who wins? Spence, Crawford.
I was fearful that I was about to get ganged up on by just Crawford fans here. And I suppose that's just giving away my prediction. I'm not the hater of Crawford by any means. I just do genuinely believe that Spence is that I don't even know what it is. There's just something a little bit more in it. They've both been through so much kind of in the ring, outside the ring, personal lives and everything like that. And to then get to this point where they both are these guys, the top guys. It's so good to see, and it's such a good story. And that's what it is. It is just a true 50-50 fight. And I mean, I was trying to think the other day, like if you think top division 50-50 fights, there's not many. Even when I think back to like Davis versus Garcia, everybody was saying Davis. Like there was very few people, bar Garcia fanboys, that were saying Garcia. And so I think there are very few, very few 50-50, true 50-50 fights. And I think this is one of them. And I think that's what makes this fight so good. But just like Akeem said, Spencer's just been through that little bit more inside the ring. And even though he's maybe not been as active as what he would want to be or whatever, but he's always come back and still looked double as good. He's gone away and come back and still looked the exact same and still looked amazing and just never really looked out of it. And as long as he doesn't spit out his gum shield again, then well hopefully it will be in my opinion a split decision. I think it's going to be in very, very close, and that's what's going to set up the rematch so perfectly. And hopefully we'll be able to do another prediction and see how things have changed for that in the rematch.
Absolutely. Your boxing fix. Who wins?
Man, like Akeem said, man, you might ask me tomorrow. I might give you a completely different answer, man. But that's the beauty part about this fight, man. Like y'all have given y'all predictions, and it's been different fighters. We Crawford and we got Spence. With me, I got to look at the little details, right? So I got to look at what fighter can make adjustments the best throughout the course of the fight, because a lot of times you have certain game plans that you want to stick to, but there may be a situation where you may have to change that game plan on the fly. And I look at who does that the best, and Terence Crawford, he's a genius when it comes to making in-fight, adjustments. I'm not saying that Errol can't do that. I just haven't seen Errol do that yet, because every fight that Errol has pretty much had, he's pretty much had his way. It's gone the way that he's wanted to go. So my thought process is what's going to happen when, Errol starts maybe winning 1 or 2 rounds and Crawford does something. He turns the switch on, he makes those adjustments, and he maybe starts getting the best of Spence. What happens after that? And I haven't seen that. I've seen Crawford do it. I just haven't seen Spence do it. So based on that alone, I'm picking Terence Bud Crawford, man. I'm picking a close, razor sharp decision, and a rematch also. But I'm picking, as of right now, as of this second right now, I'm picking Terence Bud Crawford.
Absolutely. Everyone put it with a little asterisk. This is as of right now. So I do want to, before I give my prediction, I do want to say I think both fighters have already won the fight of their lives. Like Terence Crawford surviving a bullet to the head. Errol Spence, surviving that high-speed car crash. Those are battles that they already won outside the ring. I think this upcoming fight is the biggest fight of their career. Both of them have that dog in them, and it's going to come down to who wants it more. Just like Akeem, I think I've been flip-flopping. I've been a huge fan of Spence for a while. I just like his personality, his energy, something about that southern drawl when he speaks. Very charismatic. And him going to the UK and being Kell Brook and taking his championship was huge. Like not a lot of prospects do that. Or at least at that time weren't doing that. I'm gonna have to lean Spence by split decision going into this fight. I'm just gonna be picking mostly because of the resume at welterweight. Spence has fought everybody. Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Ugas, and this most recent fight against Ugas, I think we saw the best version of Spence we've seen in quite some time. So I think if that version of Spence shows up, he will beat Terence Crawford by split decision. But it's gonna be a close fight. I can definitely see Terence Crawford winning, because we've seen when he's down, he turns that flip, like he turns that switch. He knows how to adapt and win. So let me just get to some comments here before we wrap up. Does the boxing says Aquaman by TKO. There you go, man. But I mean, it's gonna be such a great fight, So I think it's gonna be close enough to warrant a rematch, and we'll be in for another treat. Before we wrap up, any kind of closing comments or any other additional questions you guys want to bring up?
Yeah, man. Hey, much love to all of you, man. I appreciate all that you guys share. I'm definitely going to tap in with those that I haven't tapped in before yet. Man, the thing for me is like what I didn't like, and this will parlay back into what I didn't like about Inoue Fulton, man, is how Inoue won the fight. But then people were talking about like Fulton wasn't a top cat either. I'm saying, like, I don't like that, man. Let's not discredit people for the fact that they lost the fight. Let's say, yo, you took the fight. This is boxing. It's high elite sport. You got to beat a man on that day. Records don't really matter when you step into the ring. It's good on paper, but when you step into the ring, you got to beat the man. And so whoever loses between Spence and Crawford, just because they lost and that one and that always gone does not mean that they aren't great, right? It does. And that's the thing that annoys me the most, man. It's like, yo, don't discredit these guys like they haven't done the work and got the resume over time. So that's it for me, man. Win, lose, a low probability is a draw, but we got to respect it, man. And if this is the fight that we get to see, man, I'm looking forward to seeing what's gonna come next, because if this fight can't happen, yo, these cats can't say, yo, we can't make it happen. Yo, you can make it happen. So make it happen.
You know what, brother? I'm glad you said that about, you know, a fighter losing. That doesn't make him, you know, any less of a fighter, because I've actually had this conversation about this fight. You know, somebody was telling me how they don't think Fulton's that good. So I said, how good do you believe Inoue is? They said, man, I think Inoue is a top pound for pound fighter in the world. So I said, what shame is that into losing to who you believe is a top pound for pound fighter in the world? You got world-class athlete against world-class athlete. And that's just how it rolls sometimes. We just need to appreciate that these guys are daring to be great. Guys and girls are daring to be great. And one of the complaints that us fans had is that the big fights don't happen. So when the big fights do happen, you can't sit there and talk trash about somebody, you know, when things don't go their way. You know, so I respect all those guys and girls that get in the ring, that, you know, risk their life for our entertainment, win, lose, or draw. You know, they're all champions in my book. I had a pleasure doing this with y'all, man.
Agreed.
Sorry, there is one more that I did want to ask, and that is, so there's kind of talks around with Spence and Crawford with this fight. They're then, of course, if they do end up rematching, and is that going to be at the same weight again? Is that going to be up in the weight? And if so, first of all, does then Ennis just go straight into the vacants, or does Terence Crawford, Spence possibly defend it at welterweight, or there is most probably, in my opinion, I think they're both going to move up to super welterweight nonetheless, but does that just leave Ennis to then take all the belts? And if so, does he take all the belts?
Yeah, I think he's gonna have to wait. Honestly, like I don't, unless the winner of this fight, unless like the money is crazy and it makes absolute sense, I don't see either guy moving up to 154. I think they're gonna do it again at 147 because, you know, it's another opportunity to become undisputed in one fight. You know, so I think regardless, man, Boot's gonna have to wait, and it's better to wait than to rush up out of desperation, you know, because it might not work in his favor. So I think regardless of 147, unfortunately, y'all boys gonna have to wait another year and a half, probably.
I wanted to say say a point on your boxing fix and Akeem too. Yeah, it's honestly boxing. It's a fun sport. It's a really fun sport, and also a very scary sport. Just by the fighters, you know, taking on the fight, you know, agreeing contracts, you know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people saying, oh, you know, but he's undefeated, just like my wife. My wife, oh, he's undefeated, he looked good, and then he lost. Oh, he sucks. Like, nah, that, you know, that doesn't define you as a fighter. Just this time over here, Thunder, Jose, the event that I went to,
Yep.
I DM'd, you know, I show love to both sides, you know, A side, B side. And it's like some fighters were kind of like mad or sad, or, you know what, they gave me this fighter, but I'm above them. But at the end of the day, you know what, just appreciate, you know, you got to fight, you know. I know you don't want to fight, you got to fight. And overall, what you got to appreciate is at the end of the day, you're alive from the fight. Any little small thing could happen, a little bump in the head or a broken leg, it could cut your career for good, or, you know, any little thing. And at the end of the day, you have family to go to. I guess at the end of the day, it's just a matter of coming out good, coming out alive. You know, I get, you know, it's a win or a loss, you know, but from both you learn, and it's just coming back healthy to your family, you know, because you do, most boxers, most fighters, everyone has kids to go to, got a family to go to. Maybe you,
Yeah.
Daddy, good luck on your fight. Just don't forget we have a trip on next coming up months. You never know if you're gonna make it out there or not. So my opinion is I give both fighters, Spence and Crawford, or any back fights or any future fights. It's coming out safe, coming out healthy for your family, because just by you stepping in that ring, it could be your last time stepping in that ring. It can be,
It's true.
So that's just my point of view. How I see, I show love to both sides, and I just may the best man win. If it's a draw, it's a draw, and I just hope they come out healthy. For their families, for the fans, giving us more exciting, competitive fights. That's just my opinion on that.
No, I agree. And just kind of close out your question about does a rematch happen 154. I think it depends on Spence. Whether he was comfortable making welterweight for this fight. We'll see on the weigh-ins how he looks. But I know he's been hinting at going to 54 for a minute now. If Spence loses, does he blame the weight? And if he wins, does he say, well, this was very difficult camp for me. I can't make the weight anymore. You want the rematch, Crawford, meet me at 54. I think it'll depend on that. I think Crawford can still make the weight for 47, but he'll probably go to 54 just to chase the the bigger fights and more accolades. So
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. All right. Well, we were close out. Let's just kind of go around the round table here. Just again, shout out your name and where can people find you. Your boxing fix.
Yeah, man, this was awesome. Like I said a little bit ago, it was cool also to talk to Zeke and Jose again. It's cool meeting Hakeem and my man Axel down there. So yeah, it's cool. It's Your Boxing Fix. I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram, and it's YBF TV. I'm on YouTube. So tap in. Hopefully, I get to talk with you all again. I'll be sure to tap in to all your guys' channels as well. But yeah, thanks for having me up here. I had a blast, and hopefully we can do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely. All right, Hakeem.
Yeah, man, I'll be looking for all you guys' channel to hear the post-fight recap, man, to hear your thoughts on it. But on YouTube, it's The Breakdown with Hakeem Haynes. On every other social media, it's at Underdog AKH, man.
Excellent. Axel.
Brilliant. So yeah, as always, it's an absolute pleasure to come on the channel, and of course, being the, I suppose, smaller creator, it's always a pleasure for all of you lot to give me your time and let me come on to these kind of things. And of course, Jose, it's always a pleasure. And yeah, Axel72, Axel72YT on Instagram. I'm on Twitter now. Not really the most active guy on Twitter, but pretty much the same thing. Axel72YT on Twitter. Feel free to go get on that if you want. Next time, Jose, seeing how things been going, your followers been going up, your Instagram followers. Next time, get Conor McGregor on, mate, and I'm sure he'll get
Might as well, man. Might as well.
He follows us, so maybe he'll read the message. We'll see. We'll see.
Tony Ferguson followed me. I met him at the UFC Fight Pass, so I was just like, "Holy shit, he's following me." I lost
Seems like a cool dude.
It's not a blessing,
Yeah.
And well, to me, yeah, just follow me at Zeke.R_. You'll see the same content from my personal than from our actual channel, and not only show for the people watching, not only show the love to us, but to other, to a young boxing fix, Akeem, and actually, show that everyone deserves the same love, and we appreciate you guys. It was finally meeting you guys online, and we appreciate you guys, and we just hope the best of it.
Yeah, no, I thank each one of you for making the time and joining us to talk Spence Crawford. It's been a blast. Definitely got to do it again for another big fight.
Hey, man, much love to each of y'all, man. God bless.
Likewise.
Absolutely.
Much continued success. Bye, guys.
Peace.